Hello Wonderland, Kelly here, out for a wander on this lovely late spring Saturday morning. Come over to the mountains again. Today is about primes and the R7. Okay, let's do it. So after a quick stop to get some drone footage of a pretty neat place that I'll slip in here somewhere, I've come to Natural Bridge State Park. And like I said, the idea today, I have kind of an ambitious itinerary today, as is usual for me. I try to cram a lot in when I'm going this far from home. This is about 2.5 hours. But yeah, the idea is I've got my R7 and I've got a batch of prime lenses, and I'll show you what's in the bag a little bit later. But I just kind of wanted to see, to me it's a nice exercise to shoot with primes rather than zooms. It kind of forces you to think about your compositions a little more, since you've got to zoom with your feet, and maybe get some angles and details that you might not have gotten otherwise if you're kind of not limited, self-limited to prime lenses. So yeah, should be pretty good. I've been to this park before, Natural Bridge, which I'll show you when we get there. They're actually right up ahead. In fact, let me just flip around here. So this has been a tourist attraction, basically, since the days of George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. And Jefferson actually owned this land for a while. George Washington surveyed it, and I believe his initials are up here on the bridge somewhere. I'll take a look and see if I can find those. Been here once before, but not really. Well, I didn't know about the initials the last time I was here, so I'll make a point to look for those. But pretty amazing place, obviously. It's a natural attraction, but those can be awesome. So yeah, let's take a look around. Starting out with the 16mm RF prime lens, so we'll get some wide angles of the Natural Bridge here and see where we go from there. Stay tuned. Nice spot. So mostly shooting here, obviously, with the 16mm, like I said, which on the R7, a little less than 20mm effective focal length. This is actually a spot where being wider wouldn't be a bad idea. But what I'm going to do, what I've learned, is that for most scenes, you can always go wider, and you can do that by stitching panoramas. So I want to show you a plain 16mm shot, best I can frame it. And then let me show you a stitched panorama. And you can do a few different types. So I'll do some that are just kind of side to side, and then some that are more just a wide angle stitching. Yeah, and we'll see what that looks like. Because on a crop sensor camera, obviously, you're always going to be a little bit constrained on the wide side by that crop factor. So if you've got the 16 or even a 24 or a 35, I've done it with 35, that's an option. It does require a little bit of post, but Lightroom makes it pretty easy. You just select all the images that are part of the panorama, tell it to stitch them together, and it does a pretty good job as long as you've overlapped well. If there's gaps, then it kind of throws up his hands and says, I can't do that. But yeah, for the most part, works pretty well. So do some of those, show you what we get. So, if this audio is any good, R7, manual mode. I'm going to dial in, let's see, I am ISO 400, F8 I'm going to go to, and a 50th of a second, I'm blowing out the sky, so I'm going to go to about 200. That's pretty dark for the shadows, but I can pull that up in post better than I can recover the sky. So that's what we're going to go with. I'm focusing on the bridge itself. And I'm just going to go in landscape orientation. And just make sure as you go, each shot has some overlap with the previous shot, so that Lightroom or Photoshop have something to stitch together. And that's how it goes. I'll do some side to sides, like I said. For side to side, you want your auto level on, or digital level in the viewfinder. That's a big help to make sure you're not wobbling up and down too much. Oh, quick note, when you do panoramas like that, you definitely want to be in manual mode. Don't touch your exposure or your focus in between frames. So set the focus where you think it would be for a normal shot, single frame shot. Set your exposure for a balance of the scene that you're trying to capture. You can do HDR panoramas. I haven't really tried that, as that's a lot of shots. But yeah, you can just leave your settings as is and shoot. Another quick lesson for you. Remember now and then as you're going down a trail to look behind you. So I'm just going down a trail and this is what it looks like in front of me, which is not that great. But I turn around and look behind me. And the shadows, the lighting, the trail moving around the corner back there, that's nice. That's a nice shot. And here it is. Now, this is an out and back trail, so I would have seen the same thing coming the other way. Maybe I would have got it, but the light will be different then. So check around, look behind you. If the light looks nice, grab that shot while you can, because it might not be the same on the way back. Here endeth the lesson. Okay, onward. Now this trail I'm on parallels, let me flip around, Cedar Creek, which is this little trail, or little waterway, I should say. And it's a nice one. It's got lots of rocks, cascades, pretty good stuff. I'm told, and I've seen some photos, that there are otters that live in this creek who might be around at some point as we go. If I take this trail all the way, it goes to Lace Falls, which I've been to before. It's a nice little waterfall. It's not big one, not that impressive, and you're not that close to it at the end of the trail, but it's worth seeing. So I think I'll head all the way out that way. At some point I need to stop and show you what's in my bag, so let me find a good spot and we'll do that. Okie dokie. So here's what we're working with today. I already told you R7 and the 16mm RF 2.8 lens. And I don't know if I've talked much about that lens because I haven't used it a whole lot, but it's pretty good. It's got I don't want to say a strange design, but it's designed for in-camera correction. It's actually wider than 16mm. I think it's about 14. And then the idea is the camera then crops in a little bit to remove distortion and vignetting and that sort of thing. Since I shoot RAW, I don't get any of that correction. So I'm actually kind of hoping that those panoramas I took earlier will stitch well with this. I wasn't really thinking about the distortion at the time, but hopefully you've already seen that those came out okay. If not, then this part's going to be a little weird. Okay, but it's a pretty good lens. It's been, from what I've used it, it's sharp. F2.8 is nice. Yeah, it's useful. What else I've got? So I'll go from wide to long, and I don't have real long as a spoiler. So I've got my 35mm f1.8 macro, does 1:2 macro. This lens I like a lot. It's stabilized, it's fast at f1.8. All these lenses are STM, well, for the most part, which is not as snappy to autofocus as USM L lenses, but it's good. It works well. It does macro pretty well. It's sharp, and it's not, this one, unlike the 16, is really not, doesn't distort very much at all, and vignette. So that's a good one optically to have. I recommend this one unreservedly. I've got the 50mm f1.8 RF lens. I would love an RF 1.4 50mm, but they haven't put one of those out yet, and the 1.2 is out of my price range for a prime lens that I wouldn't use all that much. This one I like though. 50mm, especially on a full frame, is a great standard focal length. On the R7, it's about what, 80mm, so a little bit telephoto, but sharp, very handy. Always recommend everybody have a 50mm prime. Speaking of 50mm primes, this is a new toy that I just got. This is the TTArtisan 50mm f0.95. Looking forward to trying this one. I just got it the other day and I really haven't tried it at all. So my understanding is it's not sharp at all at 0.95, but it sharpens up nicely by f4 or so, which you might think defeats the purpose of having a 0.95 aperture. But the idea for that is bokeh. Bokeh, however you say it. The out of focus areas in your picture. Renders really dreamy bokeh at 0.95 or even, you know, f1.1, f1.2, f1.4. Yeah. Totally manual, no electronics at all. It's just a hunk of metal and glass. So the camera doesn't know that a lens is even attached when you use this, kind of like my video I did a while back with the manual focus vintage lenses. This is the same, it's just not vintage. But yeah, want to try that out. I'll let you know how that goes. And then lastly, kind of out of the league of the rest of these, is my 100mm RF f2.8 IS USM Macro lens. Love that thing. I had the EF version and loved it. RF version's even better. The EF version went to 1:1 magnification. RF goes to 1 to 1.4, or 1.4 to 1, I should say, which is great. And yeah, like it a lot. The only thing that I don't care for on this lens is this SA, spherical aberration control. It's gimmicky to me. If you're buying a macro lens, you want it to be sharp. So why you want a control that makes it not sharp is kind of beyond me. Never used that really. I should try it just to see what it does, but in the viewfinder, it's never looked pretty to me when I've messed with it. So I just leave it at the center and locked and get the sharpest shots I can. So yeah, that's what we're dealing with. Obviously, 100mm being my longest lens, I'm a bit limited when it comes to birds and wildlife and that sort of thing. So hopefully I won't see too much. I think I mentioned the otters. If I see them, hopefully 100mm is enough to at least be able to tell it's an otter. But with my luck, I won't see them. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's what we're playing with. Primes, exercise in composition, and this one, of course, is an exercise in everything. So you've got to set the aperture manually, you've got to focus manually, and it should be interesting. So, okay, I'm going to continue on towards Lace Falls. We'll see what we see and go from there. Slight change of plan, I think. Since I've seen Lace Falls, I'm not going to go all that way because I have some other destinations that I haven't been to before that I want to get to today. But I found a little semi-trail that picks right along the creek, and I actually did see otters, like 3 or 4 of them. I might have got a shot of 1 or 2, not much though. By the time I changed lenses and got set up, they had already kind of scampered into their den, I think. But as I'm picking along the creek here, maybe I'll see them again or some others. Yeah, so this is fun. So I was doing some shooting with the 100mm and the 50mm TTArtisan manual 0.95. Haven't really tried opening it up all the way to 0.95. I need to find a good macro subject or something with a good background for that. Maybe here. This is a nice spot that I've found right now. This is going to be my turnaround spot at this park, but I want to spend some time here. I've switched currently to the 35mm lens, which is f1.8, and I feel like that will be some good opportunities to take advantage of that aperture. There's some good rocks and backgrounds, so yeah, between the 35 and the 50, I think I can get some good stuff here. Let's see. Very nice time here at Natural Bridge State Park. Before I head out, I'm actually on my way to the car, but I spotted this pollinator garden behind me. Lots of flowers and some butterflies, so since I've got my macro, I'll see if I can get any macro butterfly shots. And I'm thinking the flowers with the TTArtisan 50 might be neat too, so a little more playing, and then it'll be lunchtime. My next stop, which is the Roaring Run Loop Trail and the Roaring Run Furnace, which is in the either Jefferson or Washington National Forest here in this area that I'm roaming today. So this is a new one for me. Looks fairly popular. Natural Bridge is a really popular park. It was getting pretty busy when I left. This one, pretty good amount of cars in the parking lot, though I haven't seen many people yet. But anyway, it's a relatively short and easy trail to a fairly impressive water feature, I guess. It's not like huge or anything, but it's nice. So yeah, check it out. I'm excited. See what we can get here. While I'm walking, this is another creekside trail, which is very nice. But a quick tip, so I don't know about you, but on my DSLRs, I was used to just swapping lenses without really thinking about it, you know. Just pop one off, pop one on. But on mirrorless, it's a good idea to turn the camera off and have it set to have the shutter down on power off. Because normally when the camera's on, if you pop the lens off, the sensor remains exposed, and that can be bad if you're in a dusty environment at all. And just generally speaking, it's a good idea to keep your sensor protected. So if you have that setting engaged and turn the camera off before you swap lenses, the shutter will come down and protect the sensor from dust while you're changing lenses. Quick tip, but a good idea. Nice place. Felt like I was getting lazy because this creek and everything is so nice that it feels like it wants wide angle for everything, you know, but you get too much with a wide angle sometimes, so you gotta step back or step in and get a longer focal length and find some details to shoot. So that's what I'm trying to do. Lots of mossy rocks, little sprigs of vegetation, flowing water, of course, is always fun. So yeah, take advantage of the full location. Well, made it to the top of the main falls. Check it out. Comes down there, goes over and over and down. Very nice indeed. I don't know how photogenic it is from the bottom, so I didn't actually use the drone back at the lime kilns, so I'm going to try it here. Wish me luck. Another quick stop, but something that's been on my bucket list for a while. This is Humpback Bridge, one of the few covered bridges in the state of Virginia, I believe. This one dates to, now I forget what the sign said, 1929 maybe older than that. Maybe it stayed in service until 1929. Anyway, it's still here. Now it's like a park, it's like a wayside. So there's picnic areas around here on this side. I've walked through the bridge already. On the other side, there's picnic stuff, parking lot. And of course, people come to swim here on a warm day. Very nice indeed. Get some shots here, then on to the next stop. On my way to the next stop, but I found a scenic overlook, which is pretty scenic. It would be better, but there's still haze. We've been getting a lot of haze from the wildfires in Canada, which, you know, it's a long way away. But it's made it this far south, so still hazy. It's clearing out. Was actually worse. All right, I'm only a couple miles from my next stop, which I think will be my last stop. I skipped lunch. I haven't had a drink. I'm really thirsty. So after this one, I'll head home and stop for dinner and a drink on the way. It's been a good day, though. It's getting hot, too. It is mid-June. It's a lot worse in Florida, where I'm from, but this is pretty pleasant. So anyway, on to the next stop. We continue. Okay, this is actually just a roadside stop, but check this out. This is Falling Springs Falls. Thomas Jefferson himself was very impressed with this. He thought it was 200 feet tall, though. It's only about 80. But still, one of the highest free-falling falls like that in the state. Impressive. Right. That was a fun stop. Quite a waterfall. Really nice view. I'm kind of bummed that there's no hike here. I mean, clearly people used to go down to the base of the falls, but they've got it all fenced off now. I'm sure it's not exactly safe, as tall of a drop as that is, so yeah. All right, so I thought I should give some thoughts about the TTArtisan 50mm f/0.95 lens, since I've been trying it out today a bit for the first time. So far, I'm impressed. Jury's still out on sharpness. I need to get back and see the photos, but I will tell you, usability-wise, focus peaking in these cameras certainly makes it a lot easier, a lot easier. And the exposure simulation in the viewfinder, of course. Pretty easy to dial in exposure even after setting the aperture manually, and then focus with focus peaking. So assuming that focus is accurate and the lens itself is reasonably sharp, I think it'll turn out pretty good, the shots I got today. So definitely lots of bokeh when you open it up. I was shooting mostly between f/0.95 and f2. I'd go to f4 now and then. I'm sure you saw some of those shots already. Maybe here's a few more, if that's the case. Future Kelly here, cutting in a little bit. I thought I might, to make this a little bit more complete of a semi-review of the TTArtisan lens, I thought I'd bring it out with my R5, because really it's sold as a crop sensor lens, but it doesn't vignette on full frame as far as I can tell. It's just not sharp edge to edge. So I wanted to come to somewhere where I could get some shots with it on the R5 to compare and give you an idea of what it looks like on full frame. So I've come to this, which is a place I've wanted to check out for a while. It's the Mount Pisgah Cemetery, which is a small little cemetery along a road that we drive occasionally. And there's no church here anymore. Kind of a defunct place. The church actually collapsed in 1877 in the middle of a service, apparently, and everybody had to escape through the windows to get out of the building, which sounds funny now. I'm sure it wasn't at the time. But anyway, most of the parishioners at that time were coal miners who worked in the area. This was a big coal mining area. In fact, one of the first coal mining areas in the young United States, I think. And in 1855, there was a mine explosion and about 55 miners were killed, and a lot of them were buried here. So I've kind of wanted to check this cemetery out. So here we are. So yeah, it's quiet. It's kind of nice. So gonna take some shots with this combo, and I'll post them up so we can make that TTArtisan review a little more robust. Here we go. Hopefully that came out all right. Back to old Kelly. But yeah, feels good. Definitely solidly constructed. One weird thing, its lens cap, which I don't have right now, is actually a metal screw-on lens cap, which is a little inconvenient, and I feel like I'll lose it easier because it's just a thin piece rather than a more hefty clip-on. But it's a 58mm thread, filter thread or lens cap thread, so I might just get myself, if I don't already have one, a 58mm cap for it, pinch type. That'll make me feel a little better. But yeah, was shooting it without a hood, so hopefully it didn't flare too much. Wasn't really shooting towards the sun a whole lot, I don't think, or I was under shade most of the day, so we'll see about that. But a hood, I like hoods. Hoods are usually a good idea, so a 58mm screw-on hood would work for this just fine. And otherwise, I feel like it was a pretty good day. Again, I'll have to edit stuff and see what I got, but my sense is that I got some good shots at the places I went today. I actually had one more stop on my ambitious agenda for the day, but I'm not gonna do that since I'm hungry and thirsty and I want to get home before too long. So gonna start heading home. Stop, I think, in Charlottesville for dinner. I know a place that's making my stomach happy. And yeah, call it a day. Tomorrow's hot, so maybe I'll get this edited quickly and get it up soon. But no matter what, wherever you are, hope you're having a great day. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing. All that YouTube fun stuff. I'm up over 200 subscribers now on my little channel, which makes me very happy. Looking to get to 1,000. I want to be able to turn on ads and monetize. I apologize for that, but you know, if I'm doing this for fun, I may as well try to get a little money out of it too. That's the idea. Yeah, so if you like, if you subscribe, it definitely helps. Yes. So, till next time, be kind to yourself, take care of each other. Don't forget to be awesome. Get out and wander. Till next time.